We've been focusing for the last year, as well as for next year, on access and trust. Currently, we're in the Asian Pacific Bureau. It's a really, really small bureau with 5 people. Our headquarters is in Singapore. And again, the same structure applies with individual members, chapters, and also on corporate members. Events. We do a lot of different events. Some of them ourselves and some of them together with our partners. So this first event, our big event, is one in Kathmandu, which we did earlier on this year, which was on ICT for disaster management. And then this year we tried a different format because we wanted, the area that we cover is very, very big. So we did an Asia Internet Symposium online, and that's the way we're going, looking at security and trust in the digital economy. We've also just finished an AIS, which is a one-day theme event on the Internet of Things in Bangkok. Oops. I've got to go back. Sorry, I clicked too fast. Okay. This is an event that is worldwide that we've just finished. And the Asia Pacific had 11 nodes, which is the biggest amount in different countries, both interactive as well as passive nodes. And we had over 300 people attend this. It's the second time we're doing this. And we talked about connecting the unconnected, which is access again, and then building trust in the internet. We've done 3 different studies on unleashing the potential of the internet. One in ASEAN. We've just finished this one in Central Asia, which covers Pakistan and Afghanistan. And it talks about digital economies and its opportunities, together with IXPs and internet connections. This year, we've done our 3rd survey on internet policy and issues. And when we did this, was with individual users of the internet and what they felt that needed urgent attention from their governments. And the 2 themes that came up was connectivity and security. Cyber attacks was one big theme that came up. Data privacy as well as data protection. IETF outreach is another activity I've done. I will talk more about IETF later, but we did 16 events in the first half of the year in Singapore, Indonesia, and the Philippines. And not only did we cover the capital cities, which are Jakarta and Manila, but we also did the sub-cities like Surabaya and Cebu. We reached out to over 1,000 people. And out of this 6 months study, 6 months outreach that we did, we managed to get 2 internet drafts. Another project that we do that's very, very close to our hearts is the Wireless for Community project, which we started in 2010 in India. What we wanted to see was basic connectivity in real rural areas. And we wanted to teach people how to set up their own networks, to take charge of it, and to enable it to be sustainable in the long term. Since 2010, we have outreach to 14 locations in India, covering 200,000 people. With this year, which is new, is Nepal. We were again working in very, very rural areas and wanted to help them get out very, very quickly in the areas that were hard hit by the earthquake. And we've linked 12 schools to health centers, community hospitals, etc. And another location was in Pakistan. We have 1 location there, and we're currently working on both the Nepal and Pakistan projects. And again, much more. We have covered, we have done internet governance mini courses for APEC and outreach to 124 individuals. We supported the IG schools APIG in Korea as well as APNIC in Bangkok. We attended WTSA meetings, WTDC meetings. We continue to have community forums, members webinars, regional chapter leadership workshop, which happened yesterday, as well as ISOC meetings, for example, ISOC Apricot. We do support NOGs, both local and regional NOGs, for example, CENOC, Apricot, APNIC fellows. We collaborate with APT, ITU, APEC, ASEAN, and various other national government organizations. We just held, again yesterday and today, gender mainstreaming workshops in Bangkok together with APC. And of course, ION, Dakar, and Hangzhou this year. So there's still a few more months left in the year. We haven't finished yet. So upcoming. We're currently doing a study on the future of internet. This is updating on the scenarios that we did on the 2009 report. What is interesting is this report will be coming up shortly in the next quarter, but we also will be recommending what the future, the future internet that we want, and that would come out in Q2 next year. We are currently working on, as we speak, the Regional Internet Development Dialogues, which we are working with SCAP in Bangkok. And we're looking, the theme of it is the Internet of Opportunity. We're looking at rural connectivity, financial inclusion, disaster management, enabling e-service, frugal innovation, and entrepreneurship. And what we will do is, taking the discussions, we will write up an outcomes document, which will be fed to SCAP's first meeting in the Committee on Information, Communication, Technology, Science and Technology and Innovations. Upcoming again, one more month left in the year, in Seoul, in November 13 to 19, the IETF, and then following in IETF 100 would be in Singapore in 2017. For people who are technically inclined, this is a great place to look at standards for the internet. If you do, there are all sorts of different standards with 9 working groups, and everything for everybody from RKPI to networking, to routing standards. We will have at the IETF Public Policy Guest Program, as well as the Technical Fellowship Programs. And we will be ending the year with AIS in Hong Kong. And that's about all for me. Thank you very much. If anybody has any questions.
Thank you. Once again, I'm Khalil Azizi from Afghanistan. We had some discussions, and we have talked a lot about this ISOC. And as you mentioned, that we have just started ISOC in Afghanistan. The chapter is completely new in Afghanistan. You mentioned some kind of upcoming events. So my question is that only the members who are the ISOC members of the chapters of each country, only they can participate, or anyone, any student or any other person out of that membership can apply also for these kinds of events that has been organized by the ISOC?
It depends on what type of program you're looking for. For example, the IETF is open to anybody and everybody. That's the whole idea about it. And a lot of our events are broadcast live, so anybody from all over the world can follow them. All you need is a computer and internet connection.
Okay, then I have a suggestion also for that. No, yeah, I have done that, and I am a member of ISOC. Yeah, and I asked the question because the chances, I was thinking that it would be some for only those people who will be applying for that. And the other thing is that some awareness. That's a suggestion that I want to add. We need some kind of awareness as well, the same that you came here. I think now we know that what ISOC is and what it's doing. Of course, the chapter is completely new in a country like in Afghanistan or anywhere else. So, and awareness sessions are required, and for that purpose, I request you that if you ask these guys who become in communication with you, so that they spread awareness to the people, so that they get aware of what ISOC is doing, and that will be very good and beneficial. So, I think that's required.
There was a chapter meeting in Bangkok just yesterday, and that's when usually people get together for all the chapters and exchange views and talk about all the different programs. Perhaps there might be somebody from Afghanistan. If not, it's really open for you next year, and welcome to go to it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
If there's no questions, then I'll call it a wrap. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Amelia. I'd now like to invite Professor Gihan Dias to provide the update from APTLD.
Okay, good afternoon. So now I'm wearing the APTLD hat. So APTLD, let me quickly explain. What is APTLD? Some of you may not know. It's a regional association of country code top-level domain registries, or CCTLDs. And we are by far the largest geographically. It spans between Georgia, which is just south of Russia, and Samoa, or some of the Pacific Islands, well, actually in the far west of the globe, on the other side of the date line. So it's huge, as you can see here. And in addition to all the members from the Asian region and the Pacific region, we have associate members from all over the world. So currently, it was founded in 2004, so it's about 12 years old. It's membership-based, decentralized management. We have 54 members, and we had 4 new members in 2016 alone. And some of the biggest CCTLDs are our members, .tk, .cn, and of course, one of our associate members, .te, with 50 million registration combined. We also have .in, which is another huge registry. It's very diverse geographically, because, as I said, it spans almost half the globe. Organizationally, we have government bodies, we have private, we have non-profit, we have done domains run by universities and a few others as well. Culturally, again, from the Middle East to South Asia to East Asia to the Pacific, huge amount of cultural diversity and language diversity. Pretty much every country we have speaks, well, not everyone, but many of them speak a different, or in the case of India, like 40 odd different languages. And we also have the biggest IDN, or the internationalized, that is non-Latin character CCDL community. So what are some of the challenges we have? It's on the average lower than Europe Internet Development Indicator. So you may have seen some of the indicators which are shown at by various speakers today. So Asia, although we do have largest number of internet users, especially in China, India, and so on, the internet development indicators are still less, and sometimes we are locked within domestic market. So low registration, slow growth rate, thin budgets, no development capacity, and several other things which are listed there. I won't read them out one by one. But I will mention one thing: lower exposure to good international practices, and sometimes we are plagued with management changes. So some domains have had an issue that due to government policy or maybe some internal restructuring, the management changes and new management comes who sometimes have no idea what a CCTLD is. So what is our response? Building on good practices. We want our members to have good practices, crowdsourcing, brainstorming at members' meetings, technical assistance. So our GM, as well as some or other members, have visited many countries and provided technical assistance and strategic counseling, encouraging participation in various meetings, including ICANN, and facilitating bilateral memoranda between members. bilateral or even multilateral. So our members they can then work with each other for various best practices. Capacity building, we have lots of strategic partnership with, say, APNIC, ICANN, CCNSO, ISOC, and some of our members as well. We have joint fellowships. For example, as Amelia was saying, we are having the IETF. So APTLD is sending a person to IETF. At the same time, ISOC is helping some of our Pacific Islands members to come to some of our own meetings. So we have a lot of strategic partnerships. Sub-regional capacity building workshops. We also co-sponsor things like the first Asia Pacific Internet Governance Academy, which was in, I think Seoul, yes. And the first Asia Pacific Internet Governance School, which was in Bangkok a few weeks ago. Then training the trainers, regional programs. So what else? Giving the community a voice. More members, we want to more members to participate in our meetings, in this ICANN or CCNOSO meetings. More members participate in things like IGF, Asia Pacific Regional IGF, national and sub-regional events, and also about the INA naming functions agreement. Then we have other regional CCTLD organizations in different parts of the world, Europe, Africa, Latin America, and so on. So we have a federation of these organizations called RTLDO, and we have signed a memorandum of understanding. We have regular leadership meetings, typically at ICANN meetings, and contributions to each other's members' meetings. So although we are in the Asia Pacific, we do have very close connections with our colleagues in Europe, Latin America, and Africa. And we have coordination of activities and information exchange. So what is our strategy? Bolstering capacity building for small CCTLDs. So we have some really small CCTLDs, sometimes with only a few hundred or thousand people. And we also have some CCTLDs which are completely free. So they may be large numerically, but they don't charge money. So which means budget-wise they are a bit constrained. Expanding it to Eurasia and Oceania, especially we are looking at North Central Asia, the so-called stans, as well as countries like Georgia, Armenia, and so on, which are emerging areas with still with very low GDP, but a lot of potential, and we would like to expand in that Asia. Building stronger alliances with ISTA organizations, with some of the other people we just talked about, to improve regional-wide projects, and promoting further collaborative efforts with other TLD organizations. Thank you. So I'd like to thank Leonid Todorov, our general manager, who, by the way, is from Russia. So we are an Asia-Pacific organization, but we are incredibly diverse. We are incorporated in Malaysia. Our secretariat is in China. Accounts are in Hong Kong, and our general manager is in Moscow. So the most international organization I can think of. So this was prepared by our very dynamic general manager, Leonid, who I'm sure some of you have met. And of course, presented by myself as a board member. Thank you. Questions?
Thank you, Professor. I'd now like to invite Zhirong to come up and give us the update from the ICANN APAC Hub, and obviously a lot going on in the world of ICANN at the moment.
Hello, good afternoon everyone, and once again very privileged to be attending another APNIC meeting, and also more importantly also to be able to come to Sri Lanka. I think many of the colleagues, some of them are staying on because of they've heard a lot about how beautiful this country is. I've had the privilege of spending about 11 days touring the country last year, and if you get to stay on, please do. Doing some free advertising for Sri Lanka. How do I control the slides? No problem. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about what ICANN is unless there's somebody in the room who doesn't know what ICANN stands for and what it does. Good. So I'm going to keep it very simple. Just 3 key updates. The first one on this slide, we've talked a little bit about it during the opening session this morning, so I won't elaborate more, but a big message is to thank you. Everyone in this community, thank you, because the 1st October has come, and through a non-event which basically nobody managed to block the transition from happening. And as a result, the contract that IANA has with the US Department of Commerce, NTIA, has effectively expired, and now we've moved into a new phase of the IANA transition. Well, we've talked a bit about that, but for the past 2.5 years, every APNIC meeting I've attended, we will have a session talking about the IANA transition, and we've discussed that a lot. And I want to thank this community, especially for your support in driving the awareness, driving the discussion, and all that we have put together within the proposals today is a result of the hard work from this community. So thank you very much. And the other point I want to make is the IANA transition proposals discussion, which spanned over 2 years, is demonstrative of the global multi-stakeholder community. Especially from this region, we have contributed 20% of the entire process, from participation, public comments, and also organizing events to discuss about the issue. And this cannot be done from organization, from staff, but it's really driven from bottom up, the multi-stakeholder community from this region. And it is very representative of the 5 regions globally. And I'm very proud of this as an Asian. And I hope that going forward, as discussed this morning by the ministers, by Paul, it is now up to us, the multi-stakeholder community, to be looking after the internet's growth and ensuring its stability. And I hope that we can continue to work together to work towards this in the future. Now, the other point I want to make regarding the IANA stewardship transition is from the organization's perspective. So going forward, prior to this, from ICANN organization, we've already put in various implementation steps following the community's proposal to implement the various steps required to kick into place when the contract expires. So now we have gone into that. And for those of you who are not aware, the incorporation of PTI is already done. And going forward, remember the term PTI, and it doesn't stand for post-transition IANA. It stands for Public Technical Identifiers. So going forward, when you think IANA, think PTI, and it stands for Public Technical Identifiers. I will not talk more in detail here, because on Wednesday, during the AMM, my colleague Nayala, who is behind in the room, she will share more about this implementation for this group. So I hope that you'll stay on and also attend her session. But very important is to know that PTI is a fully owned subsidiary under ICANN, and as described in the community proposal, it is a separate entity from ICANN and will continue to have its operational functions with the names, numbers, and protocol parameter communities. Now that gives a good lead into the next key thing I want to talk about, which is the ICANN57 meeting. It's happening in Hyderabad in India from 3rd to 9th November. And this will be the first ICANN meeting where ICANN does not have the IANA contract with the NTIA. So expect this to be a celebratory meeting of sorts. Of course, a lot of it will be driven from community, and we'll see how we can get more people to know about this. And a second thing about this meeting is that it's in a new format. We call it the Meeting C format as part of the meeting strategy. What this really means is that it's a long meeting, number one, and two, it will feature outreach aspects. So basically trying to let people know more about the various communities' work within ICANN. And the important thing about this is that we can expect a lot of Indian community members to be participating. India in the past year has given their full support for the multi-stakeholder approach, and this is a good timing that we are converging together in India. And with the outreach meeting, with your help also, hopefully we can let more of the Indian community members know about our work and have them participate and join us going forward. So this is another area I hope to highlight. And the third point is one of logistical one. If you're planning to come for the ICANN meeting and you have not applied for your visa, please do. You have to apply it like now, because it takes quite some time to apply for visas. Don't expect that if you put in the application last minute, you might get it. So everyone needs to apply for a conference visa, so take note of that. Now, the last thing I will talk about is really within the region. From the ICANN Asia Pacific Hub, our office is based in Singapore, and now we grew from 2 staff to 30. We actually have a lot of activities going on, but just to highlight a couple, I'd like to highlight one key area that we partner very strongly with APNIC, and that is capacity building. And there are 2 key pillars, one on internet governance, and the other on technical capacity building. So on the internet governance side, there were 2 initiatives this year that I'd like to highlight. The first is at the Asia Pacific Regional Internet Governance Forum, the APRIGF. So we partner very closely, not only just ICANN, APNIC, but the entire regional multi-stakeholder community. That we come together during the APRIGF and we raise various issues. From ICANN, we support one area which is a program at the start, before the APRIGF starts. We have a capacity building day where participants who have no idea what the various issues are being discussed are, you can come for that day, and we have a quick run through, a 101 of what internet governance is about, what is the basics of the DNS, and so on. So that helps our community to be able to participate in discussions better. And Paul was one of our speakers during the program, so thank you very much. And the other one is on, just now Gihan mentioned a little bit about this, which is the Asia Pacific Internet Governance Academy that happened in Seoul. This was a partnership with KISA, the Korea Internet Security Agency, who was our host. And it is also a regional multi-stakeholder ecosystem collaboration. And here you have a couple of pictures, the one in the middle. You see Raj, you see Leonid, and Pablo there. And the bottom left, Pablo was giving a kind of a hands-on game type of session where he explained about how the routing system works. And this academy was targeted for students who are in university and masters and PhD who are interested in internet governance. And hopefully from this group, some of them, when they enter the workforce, they'll join our community, and that they will be equipped to participate in our discussions. So expect to see some of them in the coming years who attend APNIC meetings. And if you do, please welcome them into the community and engage them, and that they will contribute to the internet in the future. Now, the other portion is on technical capacity building. And one recent example is we went to Vietnam, and Cheryl from APNIC, he partnered Champika, who's behind the room. We did some DNS security and DNSSEC deployment training. And of course, here in the APNIC meeting, you know Champika is a common feature as a trainer every single APNIC meeting. And that's a very close relationship we have. I often like to joke that, People don't know ICANN as much in this region, but when you say Champika, everyone's like, oh yeah, I know Champika. And that's the close collaboration we have here, and I hope that this can continue. So that's my short update, 3 key things: IANA, ICANN57, and some collaborative activities, specifically on capacity building within the region. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Okay, good. Thank you.
Andreas from .lk. So regarding PTI, now it used to be just a division of IANA. Now it's a subsidiary, I guess, of, sorry, IANA used to be a division of ICANN, and now PTI is a subsidiary of ICANN. Does that mean that we need to have some kind of contractual relationship with PTI, or we contract with ICANN and ICANN subcontracts with PTI? How is that contractual relationship going to happen?
Who is the we you're referring to?
I'm talking right now on behalf of, say, .lk, maybe a CCTLD, or anybody else who deals with names or numbers or whatever.
So there are various agreements between the names, numbers, and protocol parameters between PTI or the IANA function and the community. So for example, there is the IANA naming functions agreement. So that agreement is between PTI and, it's not PTI, it's ICANN. It's between ICANN and the naming community. And likewise, the SLA, the service level agreement between the RRRs, is also with ICANN. But because the PTI is a subsidiary, so what happens is they operationally implement these agreements. So broadly, this is how it is structured. But during Wednesday, when Nayala presents, you will see a full chart. And I didn't want to steal her thunder, which is why I didn't want to show it. You'll see a full chart demonstrating the relationships and the various stakeholder groups and how they come in, which includes, like, under PTI, they have their own board, they have their own bylaws, and also the relationship with the various communities. So stay tuned for that. I don't want to be taking out too much time on this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Jirong. And as you mentioned, during the member meeting on Wednesday, we will have a session from Naila Saras representing PTI, who will go through all of those arrangements. Next up, I'd like to invite Toyama-san to present APIX update.
Okay, thank you for introduction. Yeah, my name is Katsuya Toyama of APIX. In the previous talk, everyone knows an ICANN. So please raise your hand if you know APIX, please. Thank you very much. Almost a half, more than I expected. So I would like to introduce an APIX, and I would like to report the current situation. So what is APIX? Asia Pacific Internet Exchange. This is an association of IXPs in Asian Pacific region. Okay. So, here you know Internet Exchange. Oh, you know Internet Exchange very well. So I do not talk about the Internet exchanges. And as you know, in Asian Pacific region, you can find a lot of Internet exchanges. According to the PCH directory, 169 Internet exchange points in 25 countries and economies. So why we need an association of IXPs in Asia Pacific? Of course, you know, we are doing the same business in each countries or cities or each cities, and having the almost same kind of issues. So we think that it's worth creating a community to share information, experiences about technical, operational, and business issues and its solutions about the internet exchange. The current APIX members is 23 internet exchange points from 16 countries and economies. And the list is here. And recent newcomers are from the China, mainland China, and Cambodia. And this is the current 23 APX members. So AMSIX and Hong Kong and BBX, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So these are the current APX members. Okay. So as I mentioned, the recent new member is in CHNIX. Sorry. Yeah. CHNIX Chinese from China. And CNX from Cambodia. Those are the newcomers. And we have 14 meetings so far. So we established this APIX the 2010. Okay, so almost 6 years passed. Okay, and I have to mention about this. So always we could have the meeting by courtesy of the APNIC. Always APNIC supported us and provided a meeting room for the APIX. So thank you very much. And the current steering committee member is here. I am the chair. And the secretary from AJ of the NIXI, treasurer Gavin from the Megaport, and meeting arrangement the Chef Wu of the HKIX, and the website management is the Brian from the Twitch. Okay? So these 5 members are steering committee. So if you have any questions or requests, please find those persons and contact. Yesterday and Sunday, we had a 14th meeting. There we discussed these kind of things. For the technical and operational topics, we discussed about the peering scenes for some countries like China, Philippines, and also we invited the Google, and he talks about their IX strategy in the Asia Pacific region. And also we discussed the technology for Internet Exchange Point, EVPN for IXP, or SDN for IXPs. And also the route servers that we're deploying the new route servers, which named GoBGP. Okay? And the important topics this time is described here. Open peering event in Asia Pacific. Some peering managers asked us, why don't we have an open peering event in Asia Pacific? Of course, we have several these kind of event, like an Asian Peering Forum, or Capacity Asia, or ACC kind of thing. But they are sometimes not so focused on the peering managers, or sometimes operated by the specific companies. So some managers ask us, why don't we have this kind of event? So this time we discussed and agreed to establish a working group to discuss and explore the possibility of the open peering event in Asia Pacific. Okay? So, for the attendees here, please remember these kind of things. So, if we start such an open peering event in Asia Pacific by an API, please join that event. And if you know in your friends, the peering or interconnection managers, please encourage them to join this event. Probably the first event will be held in mid or late 2017, next year. And please keep your travel budget for them. Probably, but not decided, but the first one will be held in Tokyo, Japan. Okay? And next one is, of course, I'm here to introduce an APIX. So, if you friends are working for internet exchanges, and then encourage them to join APIX to promote more open internet infrastructure in Asian Pacific regions. Thank you very much. So, any questions? Thank you very much.
Sorry, I know we're running a little bit behind time, but final speaker, Fujisaki-san, to discuss the ASO AC update.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tomohiro Fujisaki. I'm ASOAC member from APNIC region. Here I report the ASOAC recent activities, and I try to make my presentation short. Okay. The first slide. This slide describes about what is ASOAC, and we are the number resource organization, number council, and number resource advisory body for ICANN. And we consist of 50 members, 3 from each region. And in these 3, 2 members are elected by the community, and 1 member is appointed by the RIR board. And our term is 2 years for the elected members and 1 year for appointed members in the APNIC region. And our job is to advise ICANN board about the number resource policy issues and to select ICANN board members. And as many of you know, we have 16 member ICANN board, and their seat number 9 and number 10 are elected by us. And also we select ICANN non-com member. And our work is conducted by the monthly teleconference and 1 face-to-face meeting in a year. And this slide shows the current ASOAC member. As you can see, we have 50 members, and from APNIC region, Aftab, Ajay, and me, Tomohiro Fujisaki, is the ASOAC member. Okay, in the next few slides, I'll explain the recent ASOAC activities. And as I described, we had scheduled monthly meeting every first Wednesday of the month. And if we have the urgent issues, we have emergency meeting. And after the APNIC41 at the Auckland, we have 6 teleconferences and 1 face-to-face meeting in Helsinki, ICANN 57. And this slide shows one of our main work, global policy management. And global policy is a policy to define the rules to distribute the internet resources between ICANN and RIRs. And of course, this global policy are affected to the local policies. And this slide shows how that global policy is developed. As all of you know, each region has its own policy development process. And to make the global policy, the policy has to submit all 5 RIRs and need to reach consensus in the all RIRs. And then the consensus policy, this consensus pass to the NRO for review, and then finally the policy goes to the ICANN for the ratification. And about the global policy, currently we don't have the global policy on the table, but we, ASOAC, has been observing each RIR's policy forum if the new global policy is proposed or not. Okay, next slide shows another big activity, ICANN board selection. And this year, we have the ICANN board C10 selection, and at last June, we announced that we select Akinori Maemura-san, the former APNIC EC chair, to serve the C10 of the ICANN board member. And this is the scheduled timeline, and we started our election process last year, and then finished the June of this year. Okay, next I show the ICANN participation. So, as you know, ASO is the one supporting organization of ICANN, and we attended ICANN meeting and present our activities. And at last ICANN meeting in Helsinki, we had the ASO public session, and there we introduced the local policy development activities to the ICANN community, and also we have the face-to-face meeting there. And this is last slide of our activity, is the appointment for the ICANN non-com member, and we appointed Hartmut from the APNIC region to the next year ICANN community. And other activities, including the meeting minutes, can be referred from this URL. If you have interest in our activities, please refer this URL. Okay, thank you for listening. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. That's the end of